I found her crying in the shower. She didn't know I had seen her car parked at the motel earlier that night. You ever have a moment that rips your life clean in half? That was mine. Right there. A shitty neon-lit motel off Highway 14, rain slapping the cracked windshield of my truck, me sitting there with my hands clenched so tight around the steering wheel they went numb. I'm Jake, 32. Construction foreman. Been married to Laura for 6 years. 6 years of thinking we were solid. Unbreakable. The couple everyone envied because we made it look easy. Turns out, the easier it looks, the harder it hits when it falls apart. She was supposed to be working late that night. Double shift at the hospital, she said. I believed her. Hell, I even packed her a thermos of coffee and kissed her goodbye like some dumbass sitcom husband. 2 hours later, I spotted her car outside the Coral Inn. The Coral Inn. The place you rented by the hour if you needed somewhere cheap to screw around. I knew it. She knew it. Everybody in town knew it. I told myself maybe she stopped for gas nearby. Maybe she was helping someone. Anything but what it looked like. Then another car pulled in. Beat-up red Honda. Some guy got out. Tall. Shaggy hair. Hoodie pulled low over his face like even he knew he belonged in the gutter. Laura came out to meet him. I watched her step right into his arms like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like she'd done it 1,000 times before. No hesitation. No looking over her shoulder. No guilt. Just gone. They disappeared into room 7. I sat there another 15 minutes, waiting for some part of my brain to wake up and tell me I was dreaming. It didn't. I could have kicked the door down. I could have dragged her out by the wrist and made a scene so big the whole damn town would have been talking about it. Instead, I drove nowhere. Just circled the back roads until the clock on my dash said 2:12 a.m. and the gas light blinked at me like it pitted me. When I got home, the house felt colder than it ever had. I heard the shower running upstairs. Laura's purse was tossed on the couch. Her shoes kicked off by the door. Like it was any other night. Like she hadn't just thrown our marriage into a dumpster behind a motel. I stood there for a minute, listening to the water pounding the tile, imagining her scrubbing his hands off her skin. Something inside me cracked. I crept up the stairs, heart hammering like it wanted out of my chest. The bathroom door was cracked just enough to see. She was in the tub, curled up under the water, arms around her knees, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. Silent, broken sobs. The kind you don't fake. She didn't know I was there. She didn't know I had already seen everything I needed to. I should have felt something. Anger. Pity. Hate. Instead, I felt nothing. Like someone had scooped everything out of me and left a hollow shell standing there in the dark. I backed away without a sound. Went to the guest room. Shut the door. I lay there staring at the ceiling until dawn, counting every crack, every water stain, every quiet second she kept pretending the world hadn't shifted. The next morning, she was already in the kitchen when I came down, hair damp, face puffy, wearing that stupid yellow hoodie I bought her last Christmas because she said it made her feel sunny. She looked up and gave me a wobbly smile. Morning, she said, voice thick but trying to sound normal. Coffee? I stared at her, at the woman who had wrapped her arms around another man just hours ago, and now stood here acting like we were still us. Sure, I said. Because I wasn't ready yet. Because I needed to see just how deep the rot went before I burned it all down. She slid the mug across the counter like nothing was broken. I wrapped my hands around it, mostly so she wouldn't see them shaking. She chattered about the weather, the traffic, some patient at work who wouldn't stop hitting on her. I sat there nodding, murmuring where I had to, pretending like I wasn't hearing every word through a fog. Because all I could think about was how she smelled. Laura always smelled like clean cotton and vanilla lotion. It used to comfort me. Now it made my stomach churn, wondering if she'd showered it all off, or if traces of him still clung to her skin. I barely tasted the coffee. I barely heard the words. I was busy dying quietly at the kitchen table while my wife practiced looking innocent. When she kissed me goodbye, a soft peck on the cheek, like always, I didn't flinch. Didn't grab her wrist and demand answers. Didn't beg. I just let her go. Watched her climb into her car, back out of the driveway, and drive off toward a life I wasn't part of anymore. Then I sat there alone, tracing the rim of my coffee cup, feeling like a ghost haunting my own house. I didn't go to work that day. I told my foreman I was sick. He grunted something about taking care of myself and hung up. Good. Because I couldn't have handled the world anyway. Not then. Instead, I spent hours pacing the living room, then the kitchen, then the garage, circling like a caged animal. What do you do when you know the truth but can't prove it? When you've seen the car, the motel, the sobbing in the shower, but all you have is smoke, no fire? You wait. You watch. You let them dig their own grave. That night, when she came home, I made dinner. Steak, her favorite. She looked surprised, gave me this soft, grateful smile that almost cracked me in half. I told her I just wanted us to have a good night. She teared up, said, "I love you, Jake." I smiled and said it back, lied right to her face, just like she lied to mine. We ate, we laughed, we watched some dumb sitcom she liked. She leaned against me on the couch like nothing had changed. But everything had. I didn't sleep that night either. Just lay there listening to her breathe, steady and shallow, while my mind tore itself to pieces. I thought about the man from the motel. How many times had he touched her? Where had she taken him? Had he sat on this couch? Eaten at this table? Used the same bathroom where she cried her guilt away? By sunrise I had a plan. I wasn't going to be the fool who begged for answers. I was going to rip the truth out of the shadows and shove it into the light. The next day, I started small. I checked her phone while she was in the shower. Nothing. Clean. Too clean. If anything, that made me more suspicious. Laura was never the type to lock her phone or hide it. But lately, I noticed she started keeping it face down, carrying it everywhere, even to the bathroom. She was hiding something. I just needed to find out what. So I dug deeper, checked her laptop, her tablet, old receipts crumpled in her purse. And that's when I found it. A motel receipt, buried under grocery store flyers. Cash payment. Coral Inn. 2 nights ago. Room 7. It was like a punch to the gut. Concrete. Real. No way to spin it. Still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because now I knew, she wasn't just slipping. She was all in. She had made the decision. Now it was my turn. Over the next few days I pulled back. Stopped texting her during the day. Stopped planning little surprises. Stopped being the husband she thought she could keep dangling on a string while she played house with someone else. I watched her grow nervous. Watched her start studying me when she thought I wasn't looking. Watched her flinch when I came home unexpectedly early one night. "Everything okay?" she asked, voice too bright, too rehearsed. "Fine," I said. Empty inside. I started sleeping on the far edge of the bed. Stopped touching her. Stopped asking about her day. If she noticed, she didn't say a word. Because guilty people don't want to scratch at closed doors. They're afraid of what might come crawling out. My sister Emily noticed something was off first. She cornered me at a hardware store one afternoon, frowning over the display of lawn chairs. "You look like hell," she said. "What's going on?" I shrugged. "Work's been rough." She didn't buy it. "You and Laura fighting?" "No. Lie. You guys should take a trip. Get away. Recharge," she said. "You two are too good together to let stupid stuff wreck it." I smiled and nodded. Stupid stuff. If only she knew. If only I could say it out loud without the words turning to acid on my tongue. I loved my sister. But she loved Laura too. And some betrayals were too big to say out loud until you had no choice. So I stayed silent. Let everyone believe we were still perfect. Let Laura believe she was getting away with it. Because the longer she thought I was asleep, the harder she was going to fall when she finally woke up. And I was almost ready to wake her. Almost. But then something happened that pushed everything over the edge. A message. Late one night, Laura fell asleep on the couch. Her phone buzzed against the coffee table. Normally, I would have looked away. Trusted her. But that trust was already rotting in the ground. I picked it up. A single preview lit up the screen. "I miss your body. Same time Thursday?" No name. Just a number. I felt the anger burn up my spine like a wildfire. I could have smashed the phone right then. Shoved it in her face. Demanded the truth. Instead, I slipped it back onto the table. Turned off the lamp. Went upstairs alone. Because now, I didn't need proof. I didn't need a confession. I had the only thing I needed. Resolve. The next morning, I packed her lunch like always. Turkey sandwich. Apple. A little sticky note that said, "Love you." She smiled when she found it. Kissed me. Told me I was the best thing that ever happened to her. The worst part? Some hollow, dying part of me still wanted to believe her. But the truth was sitting in my gut like a stone. I watched her drive away. Then I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the clock, waiting for the second hand to crawl past the point of no return. When it did, I got to work. First stop, her tablet. Laura wasn't tech-savvy. She used the same password for everything. The name of our old dog, Rusty, plus her birthday. Pathetic, really? Within 5 minutes, I was inside her messages. At first, nothing juicy. Just the usual boring nurse stuff. Group texts about work schedules, potlucks, memes. Then I found the other thread. Labeled, Girls kiss mark. Her coworker Tara, and her best friend Maddie. Maddie, the woman who held Laura's bouquet at our wedding, who cried happy tears when we said our vows, who once told me, half drunk at a New Year's party, "You're the best thing that ever happened to her, Jake. Never forget that." Yeah. Well, guess what Maddie was texting now? Maddie, tell Loverboy to park around the back next time. You're gonna get caught. Laura, I know Wearyface last night was too close. Tara, you're living, girl. That's all that matters. Maddie, he better be worth it. You're giving up Jake for a boy who wears flip-flops to a bar, lol. Laura, stop loudly crying face, I know. I'm not leaving Jake. I just need this. Need. She needed it. Like oxygen. Like she was suffocating without the motel sheets and back alley parking lots and stolen time. I scrolled back further. Weeks. Months. Maddie had been helping her sneak around since the beginning. Covering for her at family events. Lying to me straight-faced while she sipped my beer and laughed at my jokes. Telling me Laura was working late when she was actually tangled up with that stranger. It wasn't just Laura who betrayed me. It was Maddie too. And somehow, that made it worse. Because love? You expect betrayal, deep down. You fear it. But friendship? Friendship's supposed to be sacred. The ground beneath your feet when everything else gives out. And she pissed on it like it was nothing. I slammed the tablet down so hard the screen cracked. Good. Let it break. Let it all fall apart the way my marriage had. I paced the kitchen, breathing hard, feeling like my skin was too tight for my body. Laura got home that night acting normal. Tossed her keys on the counter. Kicked off her shoes. Flopped on the couch with a sigh like she was the one carrying the weight of the world. I watched her from the doorway. Watched the way her shoulders slumped. The tiny frown she wore when she thought no one was looking. Was it guilt? Or just the cost of the double life she was too cowardly to end? She caught me staring and smiled. Long day? She asked. Yeah, I said. Her smile faded a little. You okay? Fine. A lie for a lie for a lie. We went through the motions. Dinner. TV. Bed. I let her curl against me like she used to. Let her hands slide over my chest. Let her kiss my neck and whisper things she didn't mean. I closed my eyes and thought about the messages. About Maddie. About the way trust rots from the inside out, silent and invisible, until one day the whole thing collapses under your feet. And still, I didn't move. Because I wasn't ready yet. Because some part of me wanted to make sure she fell from the highest ledge possible. No mercy. No soft landing. The next day, I set the final part in motion. I called Maddie. Voice tight. Calm. Hey, thinking of throwing Laura a surprise party, I said. Work's been stressful. She could use a pick-me-up. Maddie squealed. Oh my God, she'll love that. Yeah, bet she would. Could you help me organize it? I asked. Maybe invite some of her friends. Of course. Anything you need. Fake as hell. But perfect. I asked her to help me book a venue. Sent her a list of names to invite. Played the clueless husband so hard I almost convinced myself. Meanwhile, I was planning something else. Something much better. 2 days later, Maddie texted me a finalized guest list. 20 people. Including Laura's parents. My sister. Her co-workers. I smiled when I saw it. Because she didn't realize she was handing me the perfect audience. The perfect witnesses. The perfect trap. I printed the text messages. Made neat little folders. One for each person. I was meticulous. Because when the house burns down, you don't want survivors who can lie about how it happened. You want charred bones and ash. The night before the party, she pressed into me, all heat and betrayal wrapped in skin. You're the best husband, she murmured. I brushed her hair back from her face. Sleep, baby, I said. And she did. Just like that. Completely unaware the ground was about to open up under her. And she was going to fall so hard she'd never get up again. The day of the party, I woke up feeling lighter. Not happy. Not excited. Just ready. Laura buzzed around the house like a hummingbird, oblivious. telling me about her day plans, picking out a dress, asking if she should get her nails done. I nodded, smiled, watched her spin herself into the fantasy. She thought we were celebrating her. She had no idea we were about to bury her. The party was at Mac's Tavern, our favorite bar. Brick walls, twinkle lights, a big back room you could rent for private events. Maddie helped me decorate. Streamers, balloons, a cheesy, "You're amazing!" banner she insisted on hanging across the windows. I let her laugh and flirt and gossip like she wasn't standing in a minefield about to go off. People started arriving around 6. Laura's parents, her co-workers, my sister Emily, friends from around town. Everyone smiling, hugging, buzzing with easy warmth. Laura showed up 10 minutes later, wearing a tight blue dress I hadn't seen before. Hair curled, lipstick perfect. She looked beautiful, and I hated her for it. Everyone shouted, "Surprise!" She gasped, clapped a hand over her mouth, pretended to cry. I watched the whole performance from across the room, arms folded, heart hammering a slow, steady war drum beat in my chest. She ran to me, threw her arms around my neck. "You're unbelievable," she whispered. "I love you so much." I kissed her forehead. "Love you too, baby," I said. The last lie I would ever tell her. An hour in, I gave a little speech, tinked my beer bottle against a chair for attention. The room went quiet. Laura beamed at me, cheeks pink. I took a deep breath, let the silence stretch just long enough to make people fidget. Then I said, "I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Especially Laura." She giggled, covered her face. I smiled. "But more than that," I continued, "I want to celebrate something even bigger." I reached under the table and pulled out the stack of folders. "Tonight's about truth." Confused murmurs rippled across the room. I handed the first folder to her dad, then her mom, then my sister. One by one down the line. Inside each folder? Printouts, screenshots of the texts, the motel receipts, photos of her car parked behind Coraline. And at the very top, the girls' group chat, full of giggles and lies. I saved Maddie for last, handed her a folder with a little bow on it. Her face drained of color the second she opened it. Laura still hadn't moved, frozen, mouth slightly open, eyes glassy and wild. I turned back to the room. "My wife's been cheating on me for months," I said, voice steady. "And her best friend's been helping her cover it up." A stunned silence. Someone gasped. Someone else muttered, "Oh my God!" Laura finally found her voice. "Jake, please," she started. I cut her off with a look so cold she flinched. "You lied to everyone here," I said. "Every holiday, every dinner, every fake smile, every I love you." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Good. Let them fall." Maddie tried to speak. "Jake, I didn't." "You did," I snapped. "You lied to my face. To her family. You helped her destroy everything we built." Her parents looked at each other, horrified. My sister stared at Laura like she was seeing her for the first time. I turned back to the crowd. "You all deserve to know who you've been celebrating." I tossed the extra folders onto an empty table. "Take a copy. Show it to whoever you want. I don't care anymore." Laura stumbled forward, mascara streaking down her face. "Please," she sobbed. "Jake, we can fix this." I laughed, loud and sharp. "Fix it?" I said. "You can't fix what you piss on." Silence strangled the air. Even the music from the main bar outside sounded muffled, like the universe itself was holding its breath. I stepped closer, lowered my voice so only she could hear. "I saw you at the motel, Laura." Her knees buckled. Maddie caught her before she hit the ground. I didn't flinch, didn't offer my hand, didn't say another word. I just turned and walked out into the night. The cold air hit me like a baptism. Clean, brutal, honest. Behind me, the party collapsed into shouting and crying and chaos. I didn't look back, because that chapter was over, and I wasn't dragging the wreckage with me. I spent that night at a hotel. Slept like the world didn't exist anymore. No dreams, no nightmares. Just nothing. Freedom. The next morning, the text started. From Laura. From Maddie. From her mom. From numbers I didn't recognize. Some begged. Some threatened. Some accused me of being cruel and vindictive. I ignored them all. Because you can't reason with people who only care about the mask they wear. Let them claw at the ashes. Let them choke on the smoke. I was already gone. A week later, the divorce papers were filed. Irreconcilable differences. Clean. Efficient. cold as ice. Laura didn't contest them. She couldn't. Not after what I unleashed. Maddie tried to apologize, sent a long, rambling email about how she never meant to hurt anyone, and just wanted Laura to be happy. I deleted it without reading the end. In the weeks that followed, I heard things. Whispers. Laura moved out of town. The motel guy dumped her 2 days after the party. Maddie got blacklisted from half the friend groups she used to run. Her parents stopped speaking to her. My sister called me one night, drunk and furious. I can't believe they did that to you, she slurred. You deserve better, Jake. You always did. Yeah. Maybe I did. Maybe I still do. But for the first time in a long damn time, I wasn't desperate for someone else to validate that. I had myself. And sometimes, that's enough. You'd think the silence would be the worst part. Turns out, it's the best. No fake laughter at the breakfast table. No pretending not to notice her checking her phone under the counter. No walking on eggshells around a woman who decided I wasn't enough and didn't have the guts to tell me. Just silence. Clean. Wide. Honest. Like standing alone on a mountaintop, breathing air too pure for liars. The divorce process moved faster than I expected. Laura didn't fight. Didn't even show up to the preliminary hearings. Her lawyer sent some half-hearted settlement offers. Small things. Furniture. The TV. Stuff I didn't give a damn about. I let her have it. All I cared about was getting my name off anything tied to her. No joint accounts. No shared property. No memories rotting in the walls. The house? Sold within 3 months. I took my half and bought a little place by the lake. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms. A worn front porch. A backyard full of weeds I didn't mind pulling myself. It felt real. It felt mine. Every nail. Every floorboard. Every scratch on the windowpane. Mine. Not ours. The first few weeks alone were rough. Not because I missed her. Because I missed who I thought she was. There's a difference. You can miss a memory so hard it guts you, even when the person it belonged to turned out to be a ghost in a pretty dress. I kept waking up at 3 a.m., heart racing, reaching for a body that wasn't there. Kept opening the fridge and expecting her stupid almond milk sitting on the shelf next to my beer. Kept checking my phone for texts I knew would never come. It wasn't love anymore. It was muscle memory. And muscle memory fades if you starve it long enough. I started therapy. Didn't tell anyone. Just showed up at a dingy little office behind a dentist's clinic and sat on a fake leather couch while a guy named Mark asked me questions I didn't know how to answer. How are you sleeping? Fine. I lied. How's your appetite? Good. I lied again. He didn't push. Just nodded. Wrote something down. Waited. Week after week, I filled the silence. Told him about the motel, the shower, the party, the way Maddie's betrayal cut deeper than Laura's, the way I still caught myself wondering if any of it had ever been real. Mark didn't offer platitudes, didn't hand me some cheesy Hallmark advice. He just listened, let me bleed it out. It helped, more than I wanted to admit. By month 4, things started to shift. I stopped checking her social media, stopped caring if she posted some filtered selfie with a caption like, healing journey, or self-love. Let her sell whatever version of herself she needed to survive. Not my problem anymore. Mutual friends tried to feed me gossip. She's a mess, man. Lost her apartment. Couch surfing with friends. I shrugged. She's dating some new guy. Total downgrade. I smiled. She's been telling people you were controlling. That you didn't appreciate her. I laughed. Because if the truth burned too bright for her to look at, of course she'd turn and paint herself the victim. Let her. The people who mattered already knew. The ones who didn't could choke on the lie. One afternoon I ran into Maddie. At the grocery store, of all places. She looked rough, hair greasy. Sweatshirt hanging off her like she'd lost 20 pounds she couldn't afford to lose. She froze when she saw me, clutching a basket full of frozen dinners and boxed wine. I met her gaze. Waited. Watched the shame eat through her like acid. She mumbled something, maybe a hello, maybe an apology, and bolted down another aisle. I didn't follow. Didn't say a word. Because forgiveness isn't something you owe to people who only regret getting caught. Another week passed. Another month. Seasons changed. Leaves fell. Snow came. Life kept moving, with or without me. So I moved too. Started running again. Early mornings. Empty streets. Breath burning in my chest. It hurt in all the right ways. Went fishing on weekends. Sat on the dock for hours, letting the sun bake the last traces of her out of my skin. Sometimes I didn't even throw a line in. Just sat there, existing. The final hearing came in January. I showed up in a new suit. Laura showed up looking like a ghost of the girl I married. Eyes hollow, cheeks sallow, hair limp and lifeless. She wore the same perfume she used to, the one that smelled like vanilla and heartbreak. It didn't move me. Not anymore. When the judge asked if I had anything to say, I stood, cleared my throat, said, "I just want my name back. Nothing more. Nothing less." He nodded, banged the gavel. And just like that, it was done. 6 years together. Gone in under 6 minutes. Outside the courthouse, Laura tried to catch me alone. "Jake!" she called, voice shaking. I kept walking. "Jake, please," she begged. "Can we just talk?" I stopped, turned to face her, took in the wreckage she'd become. The trembling hands, the desperate eyes, the raw, ugly sorrow leaking out of her in waves. For a second, just a second, I saw the girl I used to love, the one who danced barefoot in our kitchen, the one who whispered "forever" into my neck when she thought I was asleep. And then I remembered the motel, the texts, the group chat full of smirking emojis and cheap betrayals, the way she kissed me goodnight with another man's scent still clinging to her skin. I smiled, small, cold. "No," I said, turned, walked away, this time for good. The first night back at the lake house, I sat on the porch with a beer in my hand and a blanket around my shoulders, watched the stars blink on one by one. No texts, no fights, no lies buzzing against the screen, just the wind, the water, the steady, silent proof that some things don't need fixing. They just need to end. And maybe, just maybe, that's where real healing begins. Not with forgiveness, not with rage, not with understanding, just with standing in the wreckage, breathing in the smoke, and saying, "I survived. I'm still here." And no matter who tried to bury me, I didn't stay broken. It didn't end at the courthouse. Of course it didn't. People like Laura never let things end clean. They flail, rewrite, spin. Because admitting the truth would mean looking in the mirror, and Laura never had the stomach for honesty. It started small. Little things, whispers from mutual friends. "Laura's been telling people you were emotionally distant. She said you didn't love her the way she needed. She's posting these sad little poems online, all about being trapped in a cold marriage." I laughed the first time I heard it. Real, bitter laughter. Because it was predictable. Because it was pathetic. Because she couldn't destroy me privately, so now she was trying to do it publicly. I ignored it at first. Deleted the screenshots friends sent me. Blocked the accounts. Told myself it didn't matter. Told myself anyone worth keeping in my life already knew the truth. And mostly, I believed it. Until I found the blog. Laura had started a whole new project. Anonymous, of course. A blog called Breaking Free. Subtle, right? It was full of diary-style entries, long, rambling posts about losing yourself in a loveless marriage, and finding the courage to choose happiness. Thinly veiled stories about a husband who ignored her needs and made her feel invisible. Comments poured in. Strangers telling her she was brave, strong, inspirational. Some asked for advice. Some offered condolences. Some talked about their own cold husbands, convinced Laura understood their pain. It made me sick, because every word was a lie. Because the woman who sobbed in the shower after crawling out of a motel room wasn't some oppressed housewife rediscovering herself. She was a coward, a liar, a betrayer hiding behind hashtags and pity parties. And now she was building a whole new identity on the ashes of the life she burned to the ground. Worse, she was dragging my name through the mud to do it. She didn't mention me by name, but it didn't matter. People knew. Small town, big mouths. Reputation spreads faster than truth, and soon enough, I started getting the looks, the whispers, the sideways glances when I walked into the diner or the hardware store. People who didn't know the whole story filling in the blanks with whatever sob song Laura was selling that week. I could have ignored it, could have let it fester, could have taken the high road, but the high road's lonely. And sometimes, the only way to clean a wound is to cut deeper. So I made a choice. The last one I would ever have to make about her. I gathered everything. The motel receipts. The group chat screenshots. The messages from Maddie. Photos of her car at the Coral Inn. Timeline documents cross-referencing her shifts with her little motel escapades. Everything. Neat. organized, bulletproof, and I wrote a single article. One post. Cold, factual, brutal. No insults. No rage. Just truth. I titled it, Setting the Record Straight, and at the very top I wrote, "There are two sides to every story. Here's mine. Supported by evidence, not emotion." Then I attached every file, every screenshot, every receipt. I posted it anonymously, but with enough identifiers that anyone with half a brain could connect the dots. And then I waited. It took less than 24 hours. The post exploded. People who had swallowed her sob story whole started choking. Comment sections turned ugly. Messages flooded her blog. "Is this true? How could you lie about something so serious? You let us believe you were a victim. You're just another cheater hiding behind sad poetry." By the end of the week, her blog was gone. Posts deleted. Comments locked. Profiles scrubbed clean. Laura disappeared from the internet like a ghost in the sun. Mutual friends reached out. Some apologized. Some stayed silent. Some tried to stay neutral. Didn't matter. I wasn't looking for applause. Wasn't looking for revenge anymore either. Just truth. Clean. Surgical. Done. A month later, I ran into Laura's mother at the grocery store. She looked older. Tired. Like watching her daughter's lies unravel had taken something out of her. She hesitated when she saw me. Then she said quietly, "I'm sorry." I nodded. "Me too," I said, and walked away. The final message from Laura came a few weeks after that. An email. Short. Bitter. "You destroyed my life. Hope you're happy." I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Because she was wrong. I didn't destroy her life. She did. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see the wreckage. These days, I live simple. Quiet. I rebuilt my circle from the ground up. People who know me. People who trust me because I earned it, not because I wore the right mask. I fish on Sundays, fix up the lake house. Sometimes date, sometimes don't. Doesn't matter. Because for the first time in years, I'm not living in someone else's fantasy. I'm living in my own damn life. And every now and then, when I walk past the old Coral Inn, now boarded up, slated for demolition, I smile. Because that's what liars build their kingdoms on. Rotten foundations. And no matter how pretty they paint the walls, one day, it all comes crashing down. 1 year later, everything felt different. Not fixed. Not perfect. Just mine again. I spent the winter gutting the lake house. New floors. New cabinets. Ripped out the old, rotting wallpaper Laura would have hated and replaced it with clean white paint. It wasn't just remodeling. It was exorcism. Every nail I hammered in drove another ghost out. Spring came early that year. Bright skies. Longer days. Air that smelled like second chances. I ran 5 miles every morning before work. Fixed engines at my buddy's shop on the weekends for extra cash. Learned how to make coffee the right way. None of that burnt sludge Laura used to pretend was gourmet. Built a life I didn't have to share with someone who despised it. A life that didn't make me feel like I was auditioning for love every damn day. People noticed. Even the ones who didn't know the whole story. "You're glowing," my sister teased after Sunday brunch. "New woman?" a buddy joked at the bar. I laughed them off. Because the truth was better than any new woman, any rebound romance. The truth was simple. I had myself back. And I wasn't trading that for anything. Then, one random Saturday in May, I saw her again. Not planned. Not expected. Just one of those bad miracles life loves to throw at you when you're finally breathing easy. I was downtown, picking up a part for my truck. Walked past the little coffee shop we used to visit on lazy Saturdays. And there she was, Laura, sitting alone at a sidewalk table, nursing a paper cup like it was the last good thing she had left. She looked different. Smaller somehow, hair limp and faded, sweatshirt too big, jeans hanging off hips that used to dance in the kitchen light. She didn't see me at first, just stared into her coffee, tracing the rim with her fingertip like she was trying to find answers there. I could have kept walking. Should've. But something made me stop. Not out of hate. Not out of anger. Out of curiosity. Out of finality. I stepped into her line of sight, watched her flinch when her eyes met mine, watched her shoulders cave in. Like she already knew. She tried to smile. A broken, brittle thing. "Jake," she said. Soft, hopeful. I said nothing. Just stood there. Watching. Waiting. She scrambled for words. I heard about your house," she said, gesturing vaguely toward the lake. "It's beautiful. You deserve that. You really do. I nodded once. No warmth, no invitation. She looked down, swallowed hard, then said the thing I think she had been saving all along. I'm sorry. A real sorry this time. No spin. Just raw, scraped bare regret. It didn't move me, didn't crack me open, didn't even stir the ashes. Because forgiveness isn't a magic trick. It's not something you owe. And standing there, under that blinding spring sun, I realized something. I didn't need to forgive her. She was a closed book, a finished chapter, a road that ended in fire and stayed burned. I smiled, a real one this time. Small, clean, unburdened. I know, I said, and I meant it. Because her apology didn't fix anything, didn't erase the motel, didn't stitch back the years she ripped open. She stood there blinking, maybe expecting more, maybe hoping for it. But I had nothing else to give her. No anger, no pieces left to pick up. She wasn't my responsibility anymore, wasn't my problem. She was just another person I used to know, another face blurred by time and distance and healing. I tipped my chin at her, turned, walked away. Not fast, not angry, just done. Every step pulling me further into a life she couldn't touch. A life built from ashes, scars, and stubbornness. A life better without her. The last thing I heard before I disappeared into the crowd was her voice, so small I almost missed it. Goodbye, Jake. I didn't turn around, didn't say it back, because some goodbyes aren't two-sided. Some are just you, standing in the wreckage, choosing yourself, finally, fully, without apology, without regret. And as the sun burned hotter overhead and the world spun on without her, I smiled again. Because that was the truth she could never erase. I didn't just survive her, I outlived her. And in the end, that was the sweetest revenge of all.